Welcome to ReaLAWstate with Patti, Tom, and Kate. Woo, woo! Where's those hands, Tom? Woo, woo! So, how are you all doing today? We decided last week that we'd give you a break so you could actually spend time with the real Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And so today, we thought that we would interview Tom.
Yeah. How's it going, Tom?
We had so many ideas with this thing, and we decided to behave.
Yeah.
So
there might have been a little bit of cuddling earlier.
She was kissing him, and she was cuddling. She was like, and so maybe we should do that. Both of us give him a kiss. How's that? So there, we'll catch that screenshot for you guys later.
Oh boy!
Oh gosh, right down the toilet. So what we thought we'd talk about today is we're always striving when we meet with you every week to give you tips and tools to be the best professional you can be, and also to spot the best professionals out there.
Yeah.
And so, one of our goals is always to help you understand, what is a good business, and also how to nurture good businesses.
Yeah, and when we were kind of talking about this concept, like, I'm not a big sit down and watch sports every week kind of gal. Like, I'm paying attention kind of what's going on, but I'm not sitting there for 2 hours or 3 hours watching a sporting event.
Yeah.
But when you kind of hear the same theme or mantra all the time, you start to take notice. Like, if somebody is top of their game and exceeding expectations, they're not just doing their job, they're exceeding it and blowing away ceilings. How can you not pay attention no matter what, activity it is, right?
Absolutely.
And that's our
special guest today, Mr. Tom Brady. So, Mr. Tom Brady, what is the number one facet or code that you live by on your strategies for life? And Patti, maybe you can help him with this answer. He's a little shy today.
He's a little shy. Well, one of the things we were kind of studying up on him and stuff was that he follows, he found this book in this spirituality a while ago, and it's the 4 agreements, right? So Miguel, thank you. I always want to see something else. So anyways, Don Miguel, so he wrote this book. I've actually read it several times myself, a long time ago. I have not reached the status of Tom Brady, so, I got to think about how I'm applying these things. But so the 4 agreements are these 4 areas of your life that if you're constantly making sure they match up, you're going to be living kind of your best life. And so this is a book, and people, if I recommend books, but it's like this thin, it's such an easy read. It is direct, and I think it really will resonate with you.
It is. It's awesome. Someone gave me that book 20 years ago, and here's the thing about it. If you don't want to read the 4 agreements, which we recommend you do, I have a Pinterest board on the 4 agreements, and it breaks them down. And there's also they publish some summaries of the 4 agreements and the interpretations. So so there is easy ways to get Twitter style, if you'd like to say.
You can get the Cliff Note version.
You can, and you can get little bites of it.
But I really think you should read the whole. I mean, it is not long, but it really gives you the examples of how to apply these.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the first is be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
So, and this is always. Okay. So give me Tom. You can talk for Tom again, Patti. Give some examples of him being impeccable in his word.
I think, when you watch any sporting event, or actually anything in life, when somebody starts kind of climbing the ladder, you tend to want to take down your competition, and you do that by maybe bad-mouthing them or undermining what they're accomplishing. But I think one of the things that you will always notice is that he's not bashing the other team. He's not saying they did a bad job. He is so focused on being impeccable with his word and how what is true, not opinion, and how he's pushing himself forward and kind of sticking to the facts and not getting caught up in the muck.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
So further on those be impeccable with your word is speak with integrity. And I think it's safe to say that I think that Tom Brady has always spoken with integrity.
Yeah.
The second is say only what you mean. Which is, you don't have to go on and you don't have to add in all that extra stuff. I'm a little guilty of this one. I sometimes add a little extra in. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Yep. And I think in this whole thing with when he was traded, or yes, when he was traded, you never heard him say a negative word about the former team.
No.
And you never heard like the dirt, and so I think that that's something that is commendable.
Because if you're so focused on what you are trying to push forward, you shouldn't even be paying attention to anybody else and what anybody else is doing. It's really about being your best and pushing yourself forward. And I think he's really been about that, super focused on that. So that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
And then the last is use the power of your word as the direction of truth and love. So it's Valentine's Day.
Oh.
So Tom, we know you love us.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? That's right. There you go. I love it. So anyways, if we could be impeccable with our word, think about that. You would never have to wonder or worry about what you said to somebody else and how that's going to get around to you. And I think that that's huge.
And I think too, like in businesses, in the real estate game, it's very competitive, right?
Absolutely.
And right now there's such a shortage of listings, right? And we're all out there trying to, win the day or win that listing, but you don't need to bash the other side. You don't need to put big advertisements in the paper about how poorly everybody else is doing because you're so great. Like if you just want to focus on you and how great you are doing, then you just focus on that and push that forward. And that's what makes you a person who's impeccable with your word. And people will respect that.
Even to take that one step further is be impeccable in your actions and use your words like, as I think they said there, like, don't use a lot of words, just do a lot of actions so that when someone's looking at what you're doing is that they will also see it. And so there's a cohesion between what you're saying and what you're doing. And I think a lot of times we see that there's not a lot of cohesion in that.
It's interesting you say that. I think that's actually brilliant because this is a cliche, actions speak louder than words.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's so much blah, 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 blah on social media right now, right? And there's so much similar messages, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually look to see who's actually doing the work and getting things done, you might find the divide. And I think that's huge.
And I think that is, And so that can be such taken into our business.
Yeah.
But again, as I think, I have never heard, as far as being impeccable in the word, I cannot think of an example ever that Tom Brady did not follow that.
No, I can't either.
Okay. So the next one is don't take anything personally.
I find this just so amazing because I really want you to think about this. So he was the 199th draft pick when he got taken on, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, before all the Super Bowls, when nobody knew who Tom Brady was. 199. So you're sitting around watching this guy get drafted and this guy get drafted. 198 people get drafted before you, right?
Yeah.
Which means that all the NFL teams have passed you over 4 to 6 times.
Yes.
They said no, all of them. Just think in real estate, all the brokerages said no 4 to 6 times. And you're still there, right?
Still pumping along.
Pumping along because they don't know that you're Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
They don't know who that is.
Yeah.
They don't know who you are. And so
to have that belief in yourself.
Have that belief in yourself. Don't take it personally. Yeah. Know who you are and that you are going to show them how you are the best Tom Brady, Kate McGregor, Patricia McCardle. We're going to show them why we're the best.
Yes. And my favorite example of this is the Deflategate, right? Mm-hmm. So he's not taking it personally that they are not agreeing or not believing him. When he was down, he hired his friends and his colleagues to play with him so he could be ready to go back in and to keep his skills sharp and to make sure that he stayed the best that he could.
Yeah.
So he did not take it personally that the commission was against him. He called all his friends up and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Can you come play football with me?
Let's go play football."
And I just think that that's just incredible. Like, I don't know that, there's so many people that they get rejected once and they're gone.
They're gone.
Or it takes a lot to rebound from it. Mm-hmm. And this is an example of just, I think, amazing perseverance and amazing belief in yourself. And that gets back to that, like loving yourself.
Yeah, and it's also he was also then very impeccable with his word. Like he wasn't bashing the commission like, "No, you stupid idiots. Like, why would I do that?" Or, there was none of that. It was just like, do your investigation. I know who I am. And I'm going to keep practicing like it's game day, and you let me know when you're done.
Yeah. And he never, again, it says, nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, not yours.
Yeah.
And I think that was just such a great example of that. And I think about for us in this business and for our seller friends and our buyer friends out there, and our colleagues, like if we just realize that when somebody is having a bad day or whatever, and we said, this is not about me.
Right.
I can spin a good circle about how it was me that caused everything,
Yeah. Well, of course. We all have that I can't believe I did it again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to sit back and say, we don't know that. And I think it's such a good tool for our buyers and sellers to realize, as far as this goes, is that whatever's going on in their lives that's making their decisions on how they're offering or counter offering or however they're coming to the table, you have no idea what's going on in their world.
Correct.
And so don't take it personally. I'm always saying you're not taking that, you're not buying that realtor, you're not buying those people, they're going to be leaving the house when you own it. Yeah. And so let's just stay to task.
And that's there's so many buyers out there, not enough sellers. So when a listing comes on, there's multiple offers, and buyers, I think, are getting very discouraged that their offers are not accepted. And I know this is easier said than done, but you can't take that personally. The sellers have certain goals and agenda, and if that didn't line up with your goals and agenda, then it just wasn't a match. It's nothing personal. They might like you, will take you out for a drink later, but it just wasn't a match.
Well, and I know I have some buyers that are absolutely scrutinizing if they've lost a sale, to go back and find out what did it sell for? What's the deal? What did I lose out on? How much was I short or whatever? And there's been times that their number was higher. And so they're like, what? And it's well, you don't know what the rest of the terms were. Correct. And you cannot take it personally. You don't know why the other offer was a better offer.
Yeah.
So it's hard though. It's so hard because to so many people, this thing of a home ownership is just so important.
And I would also say too, for agents, if you don't get the listing, so because it's cutthroat there too. So, four agents show up for a listing appointment. And if you're not chosen, you can't take it personally, but that doesn't mean don't maybe think about what you could have done better.
Yes.
It's also a time to scrutinize yourself, just to say, hey, did I not dress sharply today? Or did I not come across with the value proposition well enough? Maybe I need to rehearse it. So I think it's time for reflection, but you can't take it personally.
I got to tell you, so I'm doing this training program, and it's a mediator training program, and we role play.
Yeah.
And so to get people to role play, it's begging them, and you have to whatever. It's bribing them like crazy. And so we've been doing this role play, and I cannot believe how much I'm getting into the role play. I swear, I said, oh my God, I think I have too many filters in my world. But the point is that it's expected that we role play. The best way to go through examples and the best way to be better is to role play and to audio yourself and video yourself. And again, that's another thing that Tom Brady does is everything, he watches everything and he looks for ways to get better.
And it could be the littlest tweaks.
Yes.
It could be the most minor things. But if he keeps working on that, and then that ticks him forward, now he's going to do another one, tweak. Now he's ticked forward more. And then, just your craft, whatever your craft is.
Yes.
You need to be tweaking those little bit. You're losing my man here.
It's glaring him. So
all right.
Okay. He just wants to be closer to me. I can't help it. He just wants to be closer to me. His lighting is better over here. Don't take it personal. Right. Don't take anything personal.
I'm not taking it personal.
Okay. The next is don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read to you what those things are. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Oh my God, the world would be solved on that one. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. And with just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Yeah. So think about that. If we actually just said what we wanted or what we needed, and we weren't afraid,
And I know there's actually an agent in this office. She told me she did this, which I thought was brilliant. So she was on one of those listing appointments, right?
Yeah.
And she lost out, and she was very gracious. Thank you very much. And then she just said, I just have to ask you. She goes, is there something that I could have done better? It's okay. I'm not asking you to hire me. You stick with what, that person. Yeah. I just want to know that I'm getting better. So What was it? So, I mean, she could have just made this assumption,
Yes.
right? I mean, you want some self-reflection, but she might have made some assumptions. Oh, that guy cheated, and
Yes.
I
Yes.
suck. You know, like all these extremes.
Yep.
But instead, she wanted to be constructive, and she said, you know, if you don't have to answer if you don't want to. I just want to get better at what I'm doing. Could you just tell me,
That's awesome.
how I could improve? And the person was very gracious and did that. I forget what the example was, but I just thought that was awesome.
It is. And how about you? And how about we just take this and we find our words? Because one of the things that I noticed in a committee that I'm on was there were a couple things that people were upset by in the committee. So rather than talking about that, like calling that person and saying, "Hey, I have a problem. We have a problem.
Yeah.
You're a blah 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 blah. And again, and this happened to be with Zoom etiquette, right? So, and it was rather than calling that person and saying, I don't know if you know this, but when you get on the phone and talk the whole time, it's really disruptive for us. Like we can see you talking.
Yeah.
Well, when you get up and walk around, like you're jiggling everything and we see where you're going. And we actually saw, a butt shot, you know what I mean? So maybe you wouldn't go that far, but I know. But the thing is, rather than calling the person or the two people that might've been disruptive, they made a whole, like a blanket of a new policy. And they went through this whole entire Zoom thing. And I'm like, what? 98% of people are doing the best they can and they're doing a good job. Yeah. Why didn't you just call those people and say to them, hey, listen, maybe you need a little bit of education?
And what a waste of time.
Oh my God. Well, I must have complained about that.
I just know it is. I just know it.
Yes, because that was my biggest thing was we spent so much time on this when there were other more important things to be talking about.
Absolutely. There's so much going on like that in this world. Like, everybody just wants to focus on the non-productive things right now, and it's driving me insane.
Well, that goes back to the comparisons.
Yeah.
Like that don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
Comparing like another company to yourself, rather than saying, and I can tell you probably 100% of the time, Tom Brady stays in his lane.
Yep.
And I think that that's something that's really important. And yeah, I agree. Like this is a big one. And also this one is going to kind of lead into the next one. But I was looking at a statistic about how many games with Tom Brady quarterbacking, they won in the second half, right? So you don't make assumptions that you're going to lose the game as you're going on.
Yeah.
You don't say, I'm going to have a bad year or a bad day. You don't say, with my luck. When people say that to me, I go like this to them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know what? Your luck is wonderful.
Yeah.
You've got everything that you can have.
Yeah.
So anyways.
But I think that's really important. I think we talk ourselves out of succeeding a lot of times.
Oh yeah, and we talk ourselves out of not doing it.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh well, I hear that this person also, when I know I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
The assumption is that person does everything better, and they are, they're stealing listings or whatever.
Yeah,
and so the answer is no. The answer is in with you, right?
Correct. So
love yourself, improve on your skills that need improvement on, so that you can do the best that you can.
Yeah.
And don't make any assumptions that somebody else is per se better. Like maybe, and maybe with Tom was that far down on the draft line, maybe that first time through, he might not have been the best he's going to be. And that might be the same for you, right? I tell, when I'm training agents, I'm like, I told people I was new for 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I wanted that like idea that guy, but I felt new. I felt like there was so much that I was learning all the time. And then they're like, what'd you start? Because I said I was new. And I'm like, 5 years ago. They're like, that's not new.
Yeah. Excuse me. Oh my God.
We interrupt this program.
I had one of those epiphanies, because I always felt new. I always felt, and maybe it wasn't new, or I just was learning so much.
It's okay, you're so young looking.
What is my problem? Excuse me. Okay. But how empowering is it to now switch the dialogue in your head one day to go, I do know what I'm doing.
I know.
I'm the best.
Well, and that is part of my role-playing epiphany this week was like, I know a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, again, it was role-playing. So it's like nothing changes in this world.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when I realized that, I'm like, then you need to find your voice. And start making the assumptions that, I'm just going to be humble and, always be humble and kind, be humble and kind, but be badass too.
Yeah. And just because somebody is speaking with authority doesn't mean they know more than you.
Or
Like-
talking more or louder.
Yes, like be confident in who you are, really, which rolls into this last one. We should just get to this last
Yes,
one.
it's just always do your best.
Always do your best. And I think part of that too isn't just always like be the best. It's if you're having an off day, if you're sick that day, you do your best, even if you're sick. Your best you on the day that you're sick, the best you when you're feeling great. That's going to be a different level, but you're always putting forth the effort to be your best.
Right. And I think that for Tom Brady on this, Tom, can you tell us about your program TB12? TB12, because, you know, I think that we all were like, when that book came out, wow, he eats this all the time. He does this every day. Like he avoids that every day. And the thing was for him, you know, Mr. 115th in the draft was, yes, I want to be my best and I want to keep on playing. And so I need to do that.
Right.
So, you know, what happens with me is I get off the beam and I'm like, you know what, I'll get back on at some point, but I don't hold myself to the standard that Tom does. And on that or anything really.
Yeah.
And so,
because it's not like this man has never been sick or anything. So even on his worst day, he's still doing his best. He's still following his program, whatever it is that you set out for yourselves, you still do that every day. You don't go, oh, well, I screwed this day. It's just a loss. It's just a loss because, you know, I messed up early in the morning or I didn't make that call back. So you know what? I'll make my 10 calls tomorrow. Like, no,
just do your best, get up and do it.
Yeah.
And the other part about that is utilizing all the tools that are available to you. So, you know, so for the agents out there, what does your company offer? You know, utilize every single tool that they have. And if it's not enough, ask for more.
Yeah.
Give them the opportunity to provide for you what else you need. And for broker managers out there, provide what you can and have the answers and make it so that they don't have to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I just saw an ad from, not an ad, a video that a broker owner did that's got a very big growing company. And it looks to me like there's been a lot of people trying to pick his agents. And he went on, it's a he, I guess I just, she went on and said, well, what's up with this? So they're going to offer you a bonus to go there and they're going to give you free what to be there? Like when you want something of quality, like you go to the store, like, do they give it to you, you know, and pay you to take it?
Yeah.
And I was like, do you go to Starbucks and do they give you a coffee because they just want you to be there, you know, that you're their customer? They don't give it to you. Like, and it was one of those things like, we've got to change that language and we've got to be our best.
But you know what? Those agents that went there for that, they weren't trying to be their best. They were looking for the easy way out.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what he's saying is the best is the best.
Yeah.
That was the message of that video.
Yeah.
And that's what Tom Brady would say. Like all of you people out there whose knees still hurt because they're inflamed because you're eating sugar.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
You know, and if you are not performing at your best, and we all know what that looks like, and I feel so like motivated. Next week, can we like talk about our progress of being our best? You know, it's just like, and again, maybe you don't do big sweeping things. Maybe you do little things to get yourself there so that you can, so that's sustainable for you.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a speech and I want to say his name was, oh gosh, I'm not going to remember, but he's the guy that did, do you remember those Nike, I think it was Nike sponsored him, but it was the guy that was like, do what it takes. And there were videos that came out of him, like working out and at all different times. It wasn't do what it takes. It was, we used him for like incentive for people, like, you know, like getting up and climbing up that, and the old man that was in the water with him or whatever. Anyway, the bottom line was I saw this guy, which I'll put in the notes when I find it but he said that, you know, his wife got MS and he goes, and I made the decision I was going to eat with her because she was a big foodie. He goes, and that decision was easy. It was like that. Like now I knew that there was no more sugar. Like it was like that. He goes, when I made that decision, I knew what I wanted and I made that decision. And I think that's what Tom does. Now I don't do that. I'm like, okay, I make that decision, but I want to make sure that I can't do everything else with that decision. You know, I have to do more field testing. You know,
I've been field testing for 26 years now myself.
But it's like, but why? Like, and there's got to be if we're looking at the power of example of our guest here tonight, and we're saying he doesn't need to field test.
But you also have to know what your why is. So like in your example with the MS, like his why was his love for his wife and his help his wife's health. Like that was his why. That it was very specific. It was very motivating. And he was able to make that decision. And I think Tom, part of his why is I am aging and I want to keep playing and I have these certain goals that I want to meet.
Yes.
And I can't do it because I know that the odds are stacked up against me, but I'm going to prove them wrong. That's his why, very specific. And so he crafted out a very specific plan that he felt if he focused on it every single day, it was going to get him to the end. And it worked.
Yes, it did work.
Or it's working. He's not done yet.
And it works.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know what, like speaking of, like, did you not love the T-Mobile commercial with Gronk and Tom Brady on the phone? Oh my God, that was hilarious. Cause I was like, yeah, you get to come for retirement. And he's going, he thinks he's going, but that's his, anyways, the point is that we can, if we take a page from Tom Brady, or from that guy who I can't remember his name, and I was just looking through my things to see if it would just magically show up, and I don't see it. Is that that we do our best and we push through our own boundaries, and we get
no matter what.
No matter what. That's right, because you go back to those 4 agreements.
No matter if your day starts off crappy, or you got 2 hours of sleep, or whatever the excuse of the day is, you craft out your plan, figure out what your why is, craft out your plan, and do it consistently every day. And it's not just health and exercise. It is your business. It is how you are going to interact with your family. It's everything. Yes. What is the life that you want to live and how are you going to get there?
And speaking of family, like, when we were talking about this earlier, we were saying how, like, not taking anything personally and being like, and I'm like, yeah, but Tom's not stone cold. Like, he's got a lot of emotion after the game, with his family and looking for his family. And then his colleagues and his friends that after when they were celebrating and throwing the trophy around, like he's not, it's not like he's a machine.
No, he's not a machine. He's not a robot. He is human, but he crafted a plan. He follows it because he wanted that success. And I think we all should take a page out of that book, not necessarily TB12, but the book of by Dom Miguel. Yeah, the 4 agreements.
And so that's what we'd like to recommend to you is to go take a look at 4 agreements. Here's the thing. If you are in real estate right now, the fact that we're busy might be like what you are answering for everything, right? So the reason that you're not getting better and reading more and doing self-development and doing you're practicing your scripts and getting a better, video CMA for people is because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. And you know what? Right now, that busyness is going to carry you through probably financially. But if you're not doing the building blocks like Tom did, like staying in the game by hiring your friends to play with you when you're on suspension. Like if you're not doing those steps when it is, then we can't expect to go to another team and bring them to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And so you're going to, I think that if I could say anything is like, let's take the nuggets of truth that we can and say like, I know I can do better. I am going to do better. I'm doing better.
For you, Tom, I'll do anything.
Kiss him. She was already kissing him, so it's already good.
No.
Tom's already got cooties.
But before we end, I do want to say we have some peeps down in Florida that watch us. So I want to say hi to Taylor and Jackie and all the peeps down there watching us. So
thanks for watching. We do have more down in Taylor. There's another Jack down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Erica, who's down there. And yes, we've got some fans down there.
Some in the
We've got some
Florida
fans in New
area.
Bedford. I mean, not New Bedford, New York also.
Really?
Yes.
Big
One of them was a guest on my show this week.
Oh,
And so,
cool.
so we've got a New York following. So here's the thing is let's do like Tom Brady, but let's do it in our own way. And let's do it go through those 4 agreements for you.
Yeah.
And maybe spend some time on them. Again, if you don't want to do the whole book, you can go to my Pinterest page and go to my board. Or you can just Google like getting the guide or something like that. But it really is something that, as Patty said, is a quick read.
Yeah, quick read.
And so worth it.
And exceed your own expectations. Live your best life.
And leave it all on the field.
That's right. Thanks, Tom.
All right, Tom. Thank you. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, friends who are watching, and we will see you next week.
Bye.